Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Septiano Sunaryoko, and today I am your motivator. And of course, as a motivator, I'm going to motivate you. Okay, so for today's topic, we are going to talk about leader. What is a leader? In my opinion, leader is actually the one who can guide its followers, to motivate its followers, and to give them the right path. Because there is actually a difference between leader and a boss. That is why there is a word of bossy, but there are no words of leader. Why? Because boss is actually the one who gives the deadline to his followers, to his followers, that can actually give them some sort of problems, or maybe some sort of the mental down, because a boss is actually from what the boss say, you have to follow what the boss say. But a leader is actually where there are both consistent and tolerance. Why? Because a leader who is tolerant is actually who hear all about the aspiration that his follower gives, but also a consistent follower is when you have heard all of the your followers' aspiration. At least you have to choose, or maybe you can make your own decision by combining all of their aspiration together, and maybe you can make one decision that were actually very important or very crucial, so that it can be used in the future. So that is actually a leader in my point of view. Okay, that is my opinion about the leader, but there were actually definition of leader from famous people. For example, Peter Drucker. He said that the only definition of leader is someone who has followers. And then the second is from Warren Bennis. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. And the last one is from Bill Gates. Who doesn't know Bill Gates? As he says that as we look into the next century, leaders will be those who will empower others. Okay, and the next one is, I'm going to put it here. This is leader's traits. I mean, I know, yes, of course, that this list of traits, I don't take all of others' traits, but I guess you could you could actually understand the meaning of these traits. I mean, if you have another traits, you can also put it in here, but this is the traits. And for example, I'm going to tell you the example of honesty. What is a leader without honesty? I mean, of course, in the reality, there are lots of leaders who were actually doesn't have an honesty, but that doesn't mean you have to be a liar, right? Because if you wanted to be a leader, honesty is very important. Why? Because that is the first step. You will empower your people. And then, for example, too, you must have a confidence. Why? Look at me now. If I don't have a confidence, I will not be standing here trying to motivate you. I'm standing here right now because I have a confidence that I could motivate you. And another example, I'm going to choose two examples, maybe number 7 and 8. Tolerance and consistent. That is the definition that I've told you about tolerance and consistent. What is a leader without tolerance? When you are a leader but you don't have tolerance to your people, what is going to happen? They will be angry with you. Why? Because that means you doesn't tolerate. For example, they gave you some aspiration about what is going to happen in the future. For example, you have 100 people and there are 5 people that gave you aspiration about what is going to happen in the future, but you don't have tolerance. That is going to be critical for your leadership, because they will not going to believe in you when you're trying to, for example, you're not in the mood to accept their aspiration. You were like, no, I don't believe in your aspiration, because that is not going to happen. You have to hear me. That means you don't have a tolerance with your people. And for consistent is when you have your own principle, right? You have your own principle, you have your own vision, but in the other hand, you were not trying to hear from your people. That is very wrong. That is why these two were actually very important. If it was combined together, you have to have a tolerant, and you also must have a consistent. If you only choose one, you're not going to be a successful leader. And maybe that is for traits. Okay, so we're going to move to the next slide. Okay, so this is actually the final slide, I guess. And the material is about a leader is born or made. And as you can see, there are actually 3 points, and I'm going to explain to you one by one. So the first one is a leader is born. So as you can see, the definition of a leader is born is actually based on different people has a different capability. That is why leader is born will actually suit that kind of thing. But the other example is, for example, a king is a leader, right? But then again, the definition of leader is born were actually suits to the kingdom. For example, a king has a first son. Automatically, his first son is the descendant for the kingdom, because the prince is going to be the next leader or the next king. That is also one of the definition. A leader is born. And then the second one is a leader is made. A leader is made or actually has a very vast explanation, but I'm going to give you one example. Myself, I was actually a leader who is made. We got several orientation that were actually very important for leaders to be made, because of that orientation, maybe I'm not there, or I'm not confident to give you this material, because maybe I'm not going to be a leader. But now, because of that orientation, because of that material of leader is made, I have become a leader right now. So that is the definition of leader are made, and maybe that is from my opinion. Okay, so the next one is a leader is born and made. This definition is actually can be combined from the two, that maybe a leader were actually born with the capability to become a leader, but in other step, he wants to learn more. He wants to learn more for others, maybe from the orientation that I have, maybe I have competed with, and that is why a leader is born and made or actually suits this statement, because some people were born to be a leader, but if he wants to learn more, he could be made by other leader. That is the definition for the third point. Okay, so maybe that is the final slide. Okay, so I'm going to move here. And thank you for watching my motivating for you. And so this is the conclusion, that everyone could be a leader, or maybe can be a leader, because from the point that maybe you have the traits, maybe one of those traits could be your next step to become a leader. And then from the final slide that I've told you, that a leader is actually born, made, or maybe born and made, that is actually up to you. So in my opinion, all of you could be a leader. So thank you very much for watching my presentation, and I'm going to go now. So thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.